in Sunday's presidential election. She's already headed the South American country from 2006 to 2010, but this time Bachelet is offering a vision of fundamental change. Chile's current constitution dates back to the military dictatorship that controlled the country until 1990, and unlike her main rival, Bachelet believes it's time to turn the page. Rosa Toll and Mathilde Bellinger bring you this report.
When Chileans cast their vote in presidential elections on Sunday, one big question they'll have in mind is whether they want a change to the political system itself. The strong favourite, Michelle Bachelet, who was president from 2006 to 2010, wants to change the constitution, which was put in place by the military dictatorship.
A political constitution is and should be for everybody. The content of the constitution should be decided collectively. It should put an end to authoritarian controls and the overrepresentation of elites, opening new channels for citizens to participate.
Bachelet's opponent is right-wing candidate and former Labour minister Evelyn Matei. Both women were daughters of military men who were friends. But when Augusto Pinochet came to power in a coup, Matei's father sided with the new regime, while Bachelet's father was detained, tortured and killed. Matei warns against political and economic change, pointing to Chile's rapid economic growth.
We believe
that if Chile has been an exception in Latin America because of its growth, the improvement in quality of life, a drop in unemployment, a rise in salaries, why would we risk all of that?
Analysts point out that the coalition Bachelet belongs to has been heading the country for 20 years, meaning her reforms are unlikely to be too drastic.
What's being debated today is the state's capacity to create social services, to protect its citizens from the private sector's abuses, to improve the pension system, education and health services. The foundation of Chile's economic model is not being questioned.
According to the polls, Bachelet is heading for a big win, with 47% of the vote against Matei's 14%. More than 50% would mean no need for a second round for the first time since 1993.
And now it's time for what's making headlines in the world of sports. And France's national team is gearing up for a World Cup qualifying match against Ukraine.
Kiev will be the battleground for Didier Deschamps and his French team on Friday as they gear up for their World Cup playoff clash with Ukraine at the Olympic Stadium. The cameras were clicking as Olivier Giroud, Yohan Cabaye and the rest of the French squad arrived at the hotel ahead of this two-legged tie. Bayern Munich's key man, Franck Ribéry, will be one of Ukraine's biggest worries, and Didier Deschamps wants him and his fellow forwards to attack the Ukrainian goal. Well, there are several possible formulas with their advantages and their drawbacks. Anyway, I'll have the same central idea, which is to not start the game by only thinking to defend. It will be a fight. Qualification depends on it. It's a little bit like against Ireland 4 years ago. Before thinking to play, we have first to think about winning the physical battle and afterwards develop our game. France captain Hugo Lloris has been doing his homework on the opposition and he's picked out two players who are potential match winners, as he explains. We are conscious of the quality of the Ukraine team. They have two great talents on the flanks with Yarmolenko and Konoplyanka, who can make the difference, especially in counter-attacks through their speed and the quality of their shots. They are also performing on free kicks and corners. It's an homogeneous team that is collectively quite strong. They proved it throughout the 2013 year with some very good results. Don't forget, they finished only 1 point adrift of England, which is a very good performance. France, who won the 1998 World Cup, are hoping they can qualify for their 14th finals, while Ukraine have qualified on just one occasion. That was back in 2006. Arguably the biggest head-to-head of the European playoff first legs will be Portugal against Sweden on Friday. That means only one of Cristiano Ronaldo or Zlatan Ibrahimovic will go to next summer's World Cup in Brazil. Ronaldo has been in scintillating form, scoring his 23rd hat-trick for Real Madrid at the weekend to make it 24 goals in 17 games this season. Ibrahimovic, though, knows his side will need to be wary. Well, of course, we will have to keep an eye on him, but I mean, he is just one player. To win, we will have to stop him, but also the others, of course. But I think they have others that also are very skillful and that can decide games as well, and that are fantastic players too. But of course, we will keep an eye on Ronaldo as well. The PSG star's also been in excellent form with a hat-trick at the weekend against Nice. He's also scored 6 goals in Sweden's campaign to date, including the winner against Austria, which secured the playoff berth. I believe we should continue like we have done so far. The atmosphere we have, the mentality and will which we have. Everyone wants the same thing, and I hope this will continue in these 2 games, as it has in the qualification games. Just as in the first rounds, personally, and as a collective, I think we did fantastically well. We wanted to qualify for the finals, but we made it into the playoffs. We played in a group where we had the best team in Europe. We finished behind them. That's good, very good. Portugal was number 2 in a group. They easily should have won. And my opinion is that we deserve to qualify to the finals more than they do. While Sweden missed out on the last World Cup in South Africa, Portugal are hoping to make their 4th straight finals. Paulo Bento should have Dinamo Kiev's Miguel Veloso available after an injury scare. Defender Pepe believes the tie is wide open. I think there is no favourites. 50% for each side is correct. We have 2 matches, and we have to be good in 2 matches in order to achieve qualification. Sweden unbeaten in 7 visits to Portugal, and Paulo Bento will want to change that to give them the edge ahead of the second leg in Solna on Tuesday. Elsewhere in the European playoffs, Iceland, with a population of just over 320,000 people, hosts Croatia in Reykjavik before the return leg in Zagreb on Tuesday. The Icelanders will be the smallest nation ever to qualify should they go through. Greece, looking to qualify for their 3rd finals, host Romania on Friday. Romania last appeared at the World Cup in 1998. The French football strike over the super tax on €1 million salaries has been postponed. Negotiations are ongoing between the French Football Federation and the government's Socialist deputy, Jean Glavany, the head of a working group on sustainable football. President François Hollande said last month there would be no exception for football clubs from the tax, but Professional Football Clubs Union chief Jean-Pierre Louvel said the strike would go ahead at a later date should the fresh talks fail to find a compromise.
More news coming up in just a few minutes. Jade Barker will be back. She'll have more on the abduction of the French priest in northern Cameroon. Stay with us here on France 24.